Good morning. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals IGP. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professional IGP. Thank you all for joining with us till the end. Honorable knowledge seekers, today I am your host for the morning. My name is Jannatul Huri. I am from Bangladesh. Dear knowledge seekers, I am proud to be associated with IGP. IGP, a new pure non-profit organization, is a social and ISO certified international education and training institute. In the last 3 years, we have already served 35 million knowledge seekers from 100 plus countries. IGP is internationally recognized and globally accredited. We are connected to more than 450 plus professions and 4,500 plus organizations. Institute of Global Professionals IGP and ISO 9001 2015 and 10000 to 2008 is the training facility for skill development which was founded in 2020 and is generating content candidates to meet demand in the global labor market by providing professional qualifications. The Institute of Global Professionals is an educational institute that provides social work globally recognized and reputable. We serve students and community resources providing holistic social work and education. We believe that it's not effective to increase one's skill just by acquiring formal education, so we provide effective training and consultation to generate proficient generation all over the world. We distribute our service locally, nationally, and internationally to students, job seekers, job holders, and also for learners through respective campus, location, and distance learning platforms. We are an occupational and dependable institution. IGP is one of the famous online institutes from all over the world. Our vision is education is not a business product, it's a part of our human lives. Based on our vision, we are trying to reach all corners of the world for free webinars, seminars, courses, awards, quiz competition, mentoring, and counseling, etc. On the other side, we are also trying to offer more than 100 premium services for like creating our portfolio website, resume builder, cover letter, motivation letter, and word knowledge platform for gathering general knowledge which can upgrade already. Kids learning, game websites, free courses, converter sets, and many more. We help to empower youth to learn to meet their expectations and dreams and become highly skilled people. We implement several training programs, webinars, and online offline courses for youth learners by professional trainers, speakers, and coaches. Our sessions are conducted by globally renowned professionals to develop all kinds of youth and to promote the education of their abilities and personalities. Spreading knowledge is crucial for the Institute of Global Professionals. We believe that knowledge is love, light, and vision. So we try to understand the needs of today's generation and we serve them with good research and practice methods. We must have a genuine concern for the learners. We represent more diversity, growth, and innovation and are equipped to lead a session with professionalism, passion, and integrity. IGB members are committed to offering effective, best quality services and continual improvement so that individuals who seek information can improve their skill levels and value. Before we move to the next, let me remind, don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable to us. Thank you. Before we move to the next, let me remind, don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable to us. Thank you. Moving to the next, with your continuous support, we have already completed 1,554 webinars successfully. Wow! Moving to the next, with your continuous support, we have already completed 1,554 webinars successfully. Wow! Dear IGPs, speakers, participants, and viewers, at this moment, this is a very important message for you all. We change and design our website www.eduigp.com. On this website, we have surprise for everyone. Hope you will be benefited. We already launched our new website where you can find all of our previous activities together with lots of new features. But one strong point is that without an account or logged in, you cannot enjoy our services. So create an account for once with your proper information. Note that with your proper information, you will enjoy all features. With Mismatch Data, you cannot do anything here. From now on, you have to participate in live quiz competition on our website. We replace Slido. You have to join directly on our website. Now you can check all of our previous webinars with verified e-certificates. Now it's easier and time oriented because after the session we will not provide you with any code for certification. You will have to take part in one exam. After that, if you passed, you will receive your certificates. Otherwise, not. But you can take part in an exam unlimited till you pass. If you are an IGP speaker, you can download all your previous certificate, speakership certificate. If you are a host of an IGP, you can download your certificate of gratitude. If you are a online quiz competition winner, you can download your certificate of participation. If you are selected for a lifetime membership, then you can download a certificate of lifetime membership easily. Besides this, if you participated in any award functions which organize combined support with IGP, you can download that also. You can instantly prepare and download 18 types of instant certificates from our website within a minute. Certificate of Global Professional Membership, Certificate of Global Influencer during the pandemic, Certificate of Active Knowledge Seeker, Certificate of Social Activities during the pandemic, Certificate of Achievement IGP Knowledge Seeking Campaign 2020, Certificate of Achievement IGP Knowledge Seeking Campaign 2021, Certificate of Achievement IGP Knowledge Seeking Campaign 2022. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 1 Authentic Assessment in Teaching Line. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 2 Teaching English as a Foreign Language and Assessment. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 3 Digital Classroom Engagement Tools. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 4 The New Trends in Education. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 5 Upskilling Organizational Leadership and Managerial Skills. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 6 Strengths and Innovation in Mathematics Education. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 7 Research and Comprehensive Approach. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 8 Art in Teaching Special Program in the Arts. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 9 21st Century Tools in Teaching Mathematics. Certificate of IGP Corporate Ambassador, Certificate of IGP Campus Ambassador, which you can prepare and download within a minute. From now on, you can participate in 1000 plus international level quizzes with verified e-certificates. Teaching tips for teachers, health tips for parents, health tips for teens, gamification tools for teachers. You can also join IGP alumni. You can check out our 50 plus premium services websites for free and many more. Dear IGP well-wishers, we promised previously but lack of technical issues were late sending you on time. This is a great opportunity to collect your previous credentials. We solved all of our issues from our website. Now you can enroll. Reset password and everything. You can check our dashboard for all webinar detail. It is cordial request to you. Check all buttons and pages on our website. Surely, I can say you will be benefited. Thank you. But note that without an account or logged in, you cannot enjoy our services. At present, we are going to start our 1555 program name Corporate Communication. And our today's speakers are Georgi Litunians Meordopo, LPT, MAED, PhD. Before I hand over to the stage to Sir, I want to share a little bit about our speaker. Dean, College of Education, Villagers College, Montessori. Now is a very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with his presentation. Now is a very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with his presentation. Hello, sir.
Hello, hello. Can
Hello,
you hear
sir.
me? Yes, can you hear me?
Now the stage is yours,
Hello.
sir.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. No, it's already 12:19, so it's good afternoon. Now I cannot open my cam because my place now is somehow very crowded. Okay, so today our sharing today is about corporate communication, and I would like to thank the IGP for inviting me again. I guess this is my fifth time, no, to become the sharer for any information on the IGP seminar. Okay, okay, so good afternoon to all the people around the world, to the Filipinos. I am from the Philippines. And just to make necessary correction, I am connected with the National University. I am the director of the Language Learning Center. Okay, so I hope. Okay, so yes, good afternoon from Kenya. Okay, so I guess let's start. This is a very quick sharing this afternoon because I just would like to remind everybody, specifically leaders, no, leaders, teachers, students, and probably businessmen regarding communication, how communication really works in an organization, not just in the academe, but of course in other forms of industry as well. So we need to really have a very strong communication. And that communication would entail somehow the progress for that particular organization. Okay, problems on this side. Okay, so let's start with this corporate communication. Can I ask somebody to remove this text down the slides? Can you remove this? Good morning, afternoon, evening. Can you remove that from my slides? It could cover some of my text probably. Can you do that? Can you remove this? Hello? Yes, that's good. Okay, there. So let's start with communication and how it works, no? And we are going to look at the importance of communication as well. Now, when we are going to talk about communication, it comes from the root word communicare or commune, which means to share or to make common. Communication is defined as the process of understanding and sharing meaning through the use of symbols, signs, signals, or commonly through the use of words. At the center of this communication sharing, we are going to look at also the relationship that involves between the interaction between and among participants. And this definition of communication would somehow serve as emphasis or would give us an emphasis on the process which will examine in depth across this discussion, this today's discussion. And of course, which also be looking at into some of the importance and to understand and why we have to share our own point of view in the communication process. And basically, we are going to look at how communication works in the corporate world. Okay, so why communication is important? Okay, congratulations, Mary Jane Corpus. You have a special gift. Okay, that's good. Okay, so communications is basically an act of transferring information. We all know that. The imparting of exchanging and information by speaking, writing, using some of this medium, as what I have mentioned, also some signals, signs, probably gestures and body language, and even facial expressions. So these are some of the components in the communication process. And we all know that communication is usually a two-way process. Two-way, though we have also intra-communication. But normally, communication is a two-way process. There must be a sender and there must be a receiver. And inside the organization, like school, for instance, or corporate world, communication is very crucial. Communication is very essential inside a particular organization. And if you are going to look at communication, it has to have a sender, it has to have the message, and it has to have the recipient. And these are different components of communication must be present all throughout. Otherwise, there will be no communication at all. So if you are going to look at our organization, for example, school, every day we are being bombarded with a lot of communication. It might be coming from students, it might be coming from parents, it might be coming from our top managers like our deans, coordinators, program chairs, and even coming from the top management, the president down to the vice president, and so on and so forth. So we are being bombarded with a lot of communication every day, and we have to answer those communication. It might be through email, it might be through memorandum or memos, and so on and so forth. So we need to really be paying much attention in dealing with that particular communication. So we need to understand the communication itself, the content, the message, and everything. And we are going to look at this a model of communication. So you have there the communicator, you have the sender, you have of course the receiver, the one that receives the message, and eventually, when you are going to look at the sender, he or she is also known as the encoder, and there must be a message to send, and along the way there is what we call noise or the barriers to communication. These are hindrances why communication has to fail. And more often, communication fails only when there is the so-called misunderstanding of the message. That is why we have to pay attention to the message per se. You cannot just scribble your response to the message without even understanding what the message is all about. And that's very important. And I mentioned a while ago that communication fails because of misunderstanding. Some people are very busy, probably, that we have to answer lots of email, lots of memos, and so on and so forth, that they were not able to pay close attention to the details. And that's where communication fails. Okay. Then at present, okay, we are still recovering from the pandemic, and some schools in the Philippines are now having the face-to-face classes. Some schools are having blended classes or high blend classes or hybrid modality. Now, some schools, they have already the 100% face-to-face class, just like the normal way of conducting classes prior to the pandemic. And that works now because a lot of um, things should be considered. Okay, lots of things to be considered. Like um, we have to consider the availability of classroom, the number of students, and so on and so forth. That is why some schools are having the high blend uh, modality. So 50% on site and 50% online. But other schools who has um, a lot of facilities with enough classroom to accommodate students, so they have the 100% face-to-face classes now. Okay, so some schools also try to you know have a limits on students acceptance for this coming term because of the lack of classrooms. Okay, Now, in this situation, specifically on the onset of the pandemic 2020, where the world shifted from face to face to virtual classes, and communication has been done through emails, through social media, through different platforms. And at this moment, we are actually using technology. Until now, we are still using technology to communicate. So a lot of us are still using technology, emails, and different forms of technology like uh, tablets, we have cell phones, we have desktop, we have laptops, and other forms of technology where we could communicate properly, much easy, and to send messages in an instant to the other person or to the other parts of the community. So it's very easy. Some schools are actually adapting into the paperless system. So no more printings of papers. All memos should be sent to a particular GC or a particular email that where everybody could receive that in the organization. So no more paper at all. Even if you are going to send papers for different offices for their signature and so on and so forth, we do that in an online basis. Okay, no more printing of papers, going to different offices, ask people to sign this, and so on and so forth. So we are actually doing this using advanced technology. And even in marketing strategies, some schools are doing marketing, to engage students to come to their particular schools to enroll. So we send people to do marketing. And these marketing people are now using technology to send all the necessary details about the schools, the scholarship that the school is offering, different discounts, different programs, and so on and so forth. So technology is very much helpful nowadays. And it's easy for us. We're just going to sit in front of our computer and then let's our fingers do the talking. Then we could eventually send all necessary information to different organization outside our school. Okay, and the other process of communication is just the same with the first one. So what causes communication to fail? As what I have mentioned before, a lot of things, not just about misunderstanding of the content of the message, but naturally the use of terminologies. We have to be careful in using terminologies, words, specifically in writing communication letters, communication memos, or any other forms of communication between and among members of the organization. So if you are the kind of person who is always sending messages to your subordinates, you have to be careful in using terminologies because terminologies might be misunderstood by the readers, and that could create what the fiasco or chaotic reaction on the part of the receiver. So prior of sending your message, you have to review the content of your message if you are really saying what you want to say and that you are using the right terms, the right words in telling people about what you want them to do. And we have to be careful that because it could really cause a problem. So types of communication. So we have there the grapevine. This is some sort of a gossiping inside the organization. Okay, grapevine, there is no direction. The communication, I know this actually happens inside the organization. Okay, no formal written communication, but through the communication has to move from one office to the other office in a very informal manner. And more often, communication created an array where there is what we call an um, you add something to the communication, or you deduct some information because you are just using your words, your mouth, no, in spreading that kind of information or message. So the grapevine communication, though it works in a particular organization, but it has to be eradicated. Why? Because it could create so much problems, specifically if the person who is actually verbalizing the message to the other person is not that careful. He can probably create problems in terms of adding some information, deducting or taking out some necessary information in telling this message to the other offices. So this must be eradicated. This is not being, you know, being pushed by a lot of organizations. So we need to use formal instead of informal. Then we have also the horizontal communication, and this is also known as the lateral communication. So within the same level, there is what we call communication between the same level of office in an organization. Like, for example, at school, so if the dean of the teacher education program and the dean of the psychology program and the dean of the business program, so we have to communicate with one another, and we call it horizontal communication. Teachers to teachers, program chairs to program chairs, so we call it a horizontal communication. Then we have the upward communication, which is very common, coming from the lower rank file people, sending communication to the top management. Okay, and the other one is the opposite of the upward. We have the downward communication, coming from the top level management going to the rank and file in the organization. Then we have the vertical communication, manager to subordinate and subordinate to manager. So if you are the dean of a particular college in the school, then what you are doing when you communicate with your faculty members, what you are doing is vertical communication. Okay? Or the faculty members of your department would have to communicate with you, then what you are doing is vertical communication. In the corporate world, okay, let's look at the corporate world. Communication is an essential component for the success of the organization because it is the lifeblood of the organization. That is why communication is very significant in a particular organization. Organization will not succeed. A school, for instance, will not succeed and will not attain its goal if there is no proper communication. If you're just going to look at your own family at home, let's have a very simple example. At home, if we do not communicate properly with our members of the family, then there is what we call chaos. There must be proper communication inside our own home, because that we have a father, the mother, the children, so there must be a proper flow of communication. Home or our own family is a good example of uh, of an organization where communication is very necessary. Can you imagine your own family without any communication? That I guess it doesn't work, and I know it doesn't work. Okay, so we have here some examples of adages or sayings or quotations about communication. So good communication is a bridge between confusion and clarity. If you are confused, it will be answered by a very good communication. If you have questions in your mind about something inside your organization, probably it's all about curriculum at school, or how you are going to compute your grades, what are the components of your grades, how many percent are your class standing, class participation, major exams, and so on and so forth. You have to ask questions. You have to really communicate properly for you not to be confused. Okay? And the art of effective listening is essential to clear communication. And clear communication is necessary to management. Okay, so if you want to have a clear communication message, then you have to be a very good listener. You have to listen carefully for you to be able to communicate effectively. Okay? Then communication is a sister of leadership, which is very true. All leaders should learn the proper way of communicating. Communication is what makes a team strong. That's very true. You can only come together with one single objectives in your mind if you have a very strong communication. You can only achieve your goal as a team if you have a very strong communication. A good relationship starts with good communication. Okay, everything starts with a good communication. Only communication can human life hold meaning, and that is very true. You need to communicate with one another. We need to communicate with other people for us to be able to know and to know the meaning of our existence. Communication must be hot, that's honest, open, and a two-way. Okay. Now, this is an example of um what do we call this one? Okay, this is what we call corporate org chart. Na? So we have there the board of directors, we have the CEO, and we have the advisory board. We have there the staff, we have the so-called, and the rest are directors, and so on. Then under each directors, they have people there. They are managing people under them. And if you're going to look at this organization, this is not easy for every member of this organization to simply communicate with one another. Aside from these people who are placed in the organization charts, there are other people under them which are not seen in this org chart. And based on these people, how many are they? So it means that there are still lots of people under them. And it sounds that, or it looks like this is a big organization. And in a big organization, it's somehow difficult for everybody to communicate unless otherwise there is what we call a communication culture. Okay, the culture that really existed inside the organization in terms of communication, how they communicate with one another, the process of communication, who started the communication, and so on and so forth. So there must be a strong culture inside an organization. It might be a corporate organization. It might be
Sir, please turn on your camera.
hello.
Yes, sir. Sir, please turn on your camera.
No, I cannot turn on my camera. My place is very messy.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so what is corporate communication then? Now we are going to look at the corporate communication. Corporate communication is how companies share information to internal and external audiences and engage these audiences in a bid to manage brand perception. So that's how corporate communication works in a particular organization, especially if they have to manage a particular brand, like for example, Procter and Gamble. Okay, uh, we have SM as the biggest company in the Philippines, one of the biggest companies in the Philippines. So SM and the rest of the company which are actually creating a brand like products, Adidas, Nike, what else, Puma, and so on and so forth. So corporate communication is made up of three major categories, which are management communication, marketing communication, and company communication. Using this corporate communication, the communication department builds a company image. Okay. Even schools are actually having people who are managing their own website. We call them the communication department. So these people in the communication department, they are the ones managing, updating, and probably doing inputs into the website of a particular school or organization to create that kind of image that the organization or the school would like to attain. So it has to maintain a positive reputation in the industry and bridges information gaps between employees and management. Now, if there is not so good communication or process of communication in a particular organization, there is what we call problems in management and workers gaps between the workers and the top management will not be addressed. Okay, so the audience is targeted through a corporate communication strategy, include customers, prospects, employees, probably stakeholders, and not to mention the media, and of course the regulatory agencies. Even if you're going to talk about schools, we have different regulatory agencies. These are the accreditors of different programs that we are offering in the school. So in the Philippines, we have the PACOCOA, we have the PAASCO, and of course we have the AUN. Okay. And what else? We have the ABET, accrediting body or regulatory agency. We have CHED, we have DepEd in the Philippines, and so on and so forth. So corporate communication helps to maintain company-wide contact so that all departments can work together towards shared mission. And that is the work of communication. When used externally, corporate communication helps the company achieve various purposes, which include maintaining its brand identity. So I know that most probably of our attendees now are teachers. So all schools around the world, they are trying to maintain this so-called brand identity. So if you are from the University of the Philippines, you are from the Ateneo de Manila University, you have to build your own identity as a university. So when you talk about University of the Philippines, what are the graduates? What are the programs? If you're a graduate of the UP or University of the Philippines, so who are you? If you're a graduate of Ateneo de Manila University, who are you? What are your characteristics? What are your skills? And so on and so forth. That could actually talk about the brand of your university. So the other one is directing brand reputation, managing crisis, and clarifying any discrepancies perceived about the company's offering or activities. So all those things should be cleared out and should be protected in terms of communication. So this is external communication. Okay? So, and the other one, no, so corporate communication is how organizations share. So they have to share any information outside or inside the organization. So corporate communication is made up of three major categories, as what I have mentioned a while ago. And using corporate communication, the communications department builds the company's image and, of course, maintaining positive reputation and branding of a particular company. Okay. Then, as what I've mentioned a while ago in internal communication, it focuses on messages and in sharing within the company, which includes communication from executives to employees among teams as well as interdepartmental messages and company with communication. So that's all internal. It means that the communication happens within the company. And what are these examples of internal communication? So we have newsletters, team meetings. Yeah, that's very common. Whether it is virtual meeting or face-to-face meeting, online meeting, knowledge management tools. So most of the companies now or schools in the Philippines, because we are now having our summer term in the Philippines, it's summer term, so teachers are actually free now from school, but they have to attend a lot of trainings and seminars. For the deaf ed people, they have to attend the INSET, no, the in-service training program or the in-service training that is mandatory of all deaf ed teachers because they are allotting budget for that. No, there is a big budget for inset in the Philippines, and of course, other one is company memorandum or memos, training session, as what I have said, company brochures is just one of the internal communication that the company is doing. So employees handbook, each companies they have their own handbook. For schools, we have our handbook for teachers and handbook intended for students. So the human resources team will lead internal communication or work with other departments to ensure that information sharing is easy and efficient. So aside from the communication office, which mostly doing the updating of the website and communicating with outside people. We have the human resources department who is responsible for communication inside the organization. And when we talk about external communication, it focuses on company's branding. So this is actually the function of the communication department. Though the human resources department is also doing this, but mostly in big schools and big universities, we have the so-called communication office who is doing mostly the external communication. So focuses on making the brand of the company and messaging audiences like media and public. So external communication has now extended beyond press coverage to social media. It covers all forms of communication that promote the company's messaging. So uh, they are using now different social media platforms, but common social media platform is Facebook, where the company or a particular program is actually posting their announcement, their videos for promotional videos regarding their program offerings and so on and so forth, or different programs intended for students, scholarship offered by a particular program by the university, and all the benefits that students could avail while entering that particular university. So they are now using social media for that to spread out this kind of information. So that's one external communication. And through this, they can use this through press releases, press conferences, advertising, digital marketing, and so on. Then the purpose of this is brand awareness, brand credibility, and brand talent, employee engagement, and employee productivity. So why communication is important? So this is this is very crucial, as what I have mentioned before, because companies are, they need to have clear identity that helps them reap small and long-term benefits. So they are trying to spread their wings, reaching the different people outside the organization, telling them what the organization could offer to the people outside if they are going to engage in the organization, because that's a marketing strategy. So they have to do that. That's the importance of communication. So, and is very crucial when it comes to retaining top talents in big companies. So I know that there are companies who are, or organization or corporate organization, who are actually sending or looking for top talent to join their organization to do a particular job, to be paid with this particular amount. So they are trying to communicate outside. Even schools are actually advertising their hiring of teachers, hiring of other positions inside the school or inside an organization through media coverage or media presentation, or uploading this announcement through different social media platform. Okay. Then, in short, communication underlies many of the most significant activities that most businesses must complete. So communication is so important that most organizations will eventually reach a point at which they realize they need to invest in building a corporate communication team responsible for these various activities. And required skills for corporate communication professionals. So these are the skills that we are looking actually for the communications professionals. So we have the writing skills is very necessary. You must be very good in writing. Presentation and public speaking skills is also necessary. Communicating with data, you must know how to look at the data, manipulate the data. You must know how to give meaning to the data. Research and critical thinking skills is also necessary. And of course, technical skills. Technical skills could, sometimes we need to have people expert in terms of technicalities, but not much no in terms of teaching. For as long as you know how to manipulate your gadget, you know how to use different LTIs like Kahoot, probably Google, or you know how to attach PowerPoint to your presentation, or you know how to innovate your your classroom, your activity inside the classroom, that's enough for teachers. And you know how to prepare lessons naturally, prepare PowerPoint and other forms of presentation. Okay. Then the benefits of corporate communication makes it a critical function. So bring together all aspects of organizations, messaging in harmony with its values. The department might work with the human resources team to send internal messages, and it might work with public relations for external messages. And this is very necessary. So corporate communication can be used as a tool to promote an organization's product and services. So for schools, because most of us are actually teachers here, so for schools, we are doing communication to promote our school, our program, and different scholarships that we offer in school. It can help solve problems in timely manner if there are issues that the public is concerned about. Then corporate communication can also help improve and maintain an organization's reputation and brand image. Okay? Then it can get customers' feedback to create better product or services. And this is nowadays, because of the social media and because of the use of technology, a lot of schools and other organizations are now very much open for criticism, for feedbacking. So they are now open to accept feedbacks coming from different people to better their services, to better their programs and other projects that they are offering to the students in particular. So you could always tell them what should be improved and what should be done, and not just through an evaluation forms, but you could always message them through their website. Okay, so corporate communication can educate employees by conveying information about the organization through internal communication. It helps organization discover new market opportunities and can also help develop new markets for products or services. So corporate communication can also help an organization find sponsors or investors. And a lot of strategies are now being done by a lot of organization and corporate world and schools in terms of sponsoring or sponsorships and investors, or gaining or encouraging more students to enroll to a particular school, because schools are now mushrooming. I mean, when you're going to look at the Philippines, a lot of schools are now mushrooming with, with different promise to students, to parents, and lowering their tuition fees just to get in a lot of students and a lot of investors in the school. Ayala, for instance, they have decided to invest in education. So they have already, that's just about building, you know, houses and buildings, and they are now into academe. So the same with PINMA. So they have also decided to venture into education. So they have their own school now, Iloilo, two in Manila, and one in somewhere in Laguna. No, aside from their own businesses, so they come into, because they have seen potentials in terms of putting up business in terms of education, no, because they have seen potential on that, and they are very active in marketing their school. They are very active in telling people different programs and scholarships that they are offering, and they are very proud of their affordable tuition fee which is somehow very low compared to the other universities. Okay, so corporate communication tools, we have the social media. Okay, so these are the social media and the rest, no? The very simple corporate communication tools nowadays. This is just the social media has complete change how corporations interact with customers, no? Online communities such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, no? LinkedIn, and others are actually dominate these corporate communication tools. Not to mention WhatsApp, we have Viber, and so on and so forth. So if you know how to manage your social media platform, and if you want to really want to reach to millions of people, you need to come up with a very good communication strategy. If you want your people to stay inside the organization, you want to keep them, it's not just about salary, but it's how you communicate with people. Because I know a lot of schools that managers or owners of the school are not very good in terms of communication. They do not communicate properly and with respect, with diligence to their teachers and other workers. That is why there is what we call a very fast turnover of faculty members, because of how the owners, probably the managers, communicate with the faculty members and other people inside the school. So that's always the problem. It's not about money, but it's about how you communicate properly, how you deal with people. Okay? So, in conclusion, so corporate communication means that it calls for a high level of skills. You need to really master the skills in communication. It's not just about telling people what to do, sending messages to people, but you have to have a skill in doing such communication. So you must be a very good listener, you must be a very good writer, you must be a very good speaker, and you must have the confidence. Learning how to understand an audience and storytelling are all part of the communicating or of communicating a brand purpose. So corporate communication teaches professionals to express themselves clearly and make an impression regardless of what functions they are in. If you are the boss of that particular company, if you are the top manager of that particular school, you need to really learn and have the skill in communication. So, corporate communication tools help organizations build and maintain relationship with their key stakeholders by using effective strategies such as advertising, public relations, and so on and so forth. And most significantly, we have to always understand and we have to also learn the people that we are dealing in an organization for us to be able to communicate with them properly. Respect is number one. You have to learn people's way of dealing with the other people. You have to respect them. If you do not respect people inside the organization, well, there is no proper communication at all. That is why proper skills in communication, respect, and understanding people should go hand in hand if you want to attain this um, good communication strategy. Okay? So I hope. And lastly, so then we have the last here. Communication must be clear, correct, concise, courteous, concrete, considerate, and complete. Okay, so this is very self-explanatory, and I hope that all of you get something from this sharing, and I hope that you could apply what we have learned today to your own organization, to your own life, to your own students, and to your own faculty members or co-teachers or colleagues inside your school or inside your office. Again, thank you very much and good day to everybody. Hello. Hello, I'm done. Yeah, the moderator is sleeping or go somewhere probably. Hello, moderator. Hello, moderator. Are you there? Moderator. Where is our moderator? Hello, moderator. Hello. Hello. Yeah.
Thank
Andyan
you
na.
so much, sir, for your this content.
Tumigil siya. Bibigyan ko pa siya.
Thank you so
Ay,
much,
ay,
sir,
ay.
for your
Ay,
rich
ay,
content
kamusta ka
presentation,
dyan?
which can impact our knowledge seekers surely. After your presentation, I hope our knowledge seekers can learn something new, which was our only intention: learn and grow together. IGP knowledge seekers. Once again, thank you so much, dear sir, for your presentation. Now, sir, it's time for our question and answer session, which is the one more valuable part of our regular webinars. Honorable sir, please stay with us. After a short video, we'll be back in our session part 2, which is the question answer part. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After the question answer, we have webinar certification and online quiz competition. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After question answer, we have webinar certification and online quiz competition. Our first question is, why is communication? Our first question is, why is communication a vital component to leadership?
Okay, so this is from Flomi Salviejo, no? Why communication is a vital component to leadership? Okay, that's simple. Why communication is a vital component to leadership is that leaders must be very good communicators first. If you are a leader, you have to be a very good communicator because you inspire and empower people around you, right? So how could you inspire people? How could you allow people to believe in what you are saying if you are not a good communicator? How would you empower people if you are not a very good communicator. I know that you have experienced people probably talking in front of you that you might be having, this kind of question in terms of how they communicate. Okay. And without good communication skills as a leader, you would never be heard or understood by others. So you need to be a very good communicator because you want people to listen to you. You want people to, you want to be heard by others. Um, because we believe that effective communication is very important. Like, for instance, for the non-technical people, we need to be very good communicator. If you're not good in technology, then you have to be very good in communication. Okay, so that's one of the very important reason why we need to be very, or why communication is a vital component of leadership. Leaders should empower people. Leaders should be heard. Leaders should always influence people. So if you have problems in terms of communication, now there is a big problem as well in influencing and empowering people. Did I answer you, Flomi? Okay, thank you for that question.
Sir, our next question is how can we improve our communication skills?
How can we improve our communication skills? That's simple. All you need to do is you have to read. If you want to be very good communicator in English, then you have to read reading materials printed in English, and you have to listen to podcast in YouTube. A lot of podcasts is being published in YouTube, so you have to listen to them, try to imitate them, and try to speak out. If you are not talking with somebody, try to face the mirror, then try to communicate. Try to tell the mirror what you want to tell the mirror. You need to probably um, think that the mirror is somebody who is talking to you. Face the mirror, talk to the mirror, and practice your communication skills. Okay, that's the only thing that we could do for us to be able to improve our communication skills. We need to practice every day. We need to read. We need to listen to good speakers. We need to emulate good speakers. We need to, have a self confidence. We need to believe to ourselves that we can do it. If others can do it, then we can do it as well. Okay. Thank you. Yes, Mary Jane, no, Corpus. Yes, oo. Nagbibigay sila ng certificate if you are a speaker. Then they will send you a certificate of seminar. Sila mismo nagsisend sa dito sa sa WhatsApp. Sorry, we're talking in Filipino. Okay. Did I answer you, Mary Jane? So what are the different barriers in communication? So a lot of barriers in communication. We have internal and external barriers in communication. So when we talk about internal barriers, these are barriers that happen within ourselves, inside our body. Okay, like for example, if you attend a lecture or a seminar or a training and then you are not feeling well, there is what we call a barrier to communication. You cannot just digest all the necessary information because you don't feel good at that moment. Or if you are hungry, if you have headache, if you have stomach ache, you are not comfortable. So these are internal barriers. That is why when you attend seminars and trainings, you have to really condition yourself to attend. You have to 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 tell yourself to focus on the seminar, for instance, on the discussion, for instance. Do not allow yourself to be distracted by other internal issues, like you feel dizzy, you lack of sleep, and so on and so forth. You have problems with your beloveds. You have just had a breakup with your boyfriend. Then that's internal noise. That's internal barriers. Now, in terms of external barriers, these are all noises outside that we could not control. Like, for example, if you're attending this sharing now, but then beside you are people talking there, you have a very noisy environment, like construction is going on, jeepneys or taxis or trains are passing by near where you are now. Then these are external barrier to communication. All the things that could hinder communications to pass through smoothly, that is caused by outside force, are considered to be uh, external barriers to communication.
Once again, thank you so much, Honorable Sir, for your time in IGP. We have learned a lot from you new topics. It will be add some value to our day-to-day activity along with our academic and professional growth. Honorable Sir, hope to see you again with a new topic and new day. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Okay.
Dear IGP knowledge seekers, it's time for the most engaging part of this webinar, which is an online quiz competition, which is our regular webinar activity participation process. Now, time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instructions carefully. Now, time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instructions carefully. For some technical problems, we cannot continue our quiz on the website. So to join our quiz, you have to go www.slido.com, and today quiz code is 2539180. With 18 people, we are going to start our quiz. Our first question is corporate communication strategy and overall corporate strategy. Option 1 are the same thing. Option 2 are interrelated but not the same.